A rich man that came back for his childhood best friend that turned rebellious. When a man is mentioned tall, classy with charisma, then there is no one to see, call, remember or approach than Ben Washington.
I worked hard for all this luxury. I'm back for the love of my life. Ada, I love you.
On the other hand, Ada was now rebellious, irresponsible, and careless, drinking and partying all the time.
Let's toast to this amazing sunset. Absolutely, this is perfect. Cheers to the hosts.
He got every information about the friend but not knowing that his best friend had turned rebellious. He planned on going to Ada's parents' anniversary.
I need every piece of information about Ada. Everything.
He had conversation with his friends telling them he had come back for Ada, his childhood best friend that he promised to marry when they are older.
I think you should ask her at her godmother's anniversary, and if she doesn't comply, then ask her parents for her hand in marriage.
In his own words, he laughed, but said, "This is ridiculous. I know that my friend will wait for me, because we promised each other that we will love each other forever." He sat in a coffee shop, reminiscing the past, of how he rejected a lot of girls because he promised Ada to come back and marry her. So he would be so frustrated if Ada rejected him. The day finally came, for Auntie Afwa's anniversary. Ben walked into the room, with a lot of confidence and charisma, attention drawn to him like a plague. People watched and said to themselves, "Who is this handsome man?" Some of them recognized him as the childhood best friend of Ada, but Ada herself couldn't recognize him and his charm, because she was seated near Jackson.
It's a pleasure to finally
After
meet you
Ben
both.
introduced
Happy
himself,
anniversary.
he noticed
Thank
that
you.
Ada was attached to Jackson. Ben decided then that he would tell Ada about who he truly is because Ada didn't seem to recognize him. At that moment it seemed like a good decision. When he thought about it, he never thought it could go wrong. He walked to Ada. She was sitting with Auntie Afwa. Ben asked politely if he could talk to Ada. He asked Auntie Afwa. Auntie Afwa gave them a chance alone. Even Auntie Afwa could recognize Ben, so it was hard for Ben to understand why Ada couldn't recognize him.
Auntie, would you mind excusing Ben and me for a moment? Yes, dear, go on.
She sat near Ada. He said, "Do you know who
Good
I am?"
evening.
He
I'm honored
asked.
to be
Ada
here.
responded,
Oh, it's a
"No."
pleasure. Thank
Why?
you for coming.
If I may ask. Ben felt a surge of pain in his vein. He answered, "I'm Ben Washington, the big-headed Ben." Ada sighed in pain. Ada said, "Is that you, Ben?" Ben said, "Yes, and I'm back to fulfill my promise to marry you." Ada said, "I have a boyfriend already." Ben said, "But we promised ourselves get married." Ada said, "I can't marry you. In fact, I will never marry you."
I can't marry you. In fact, I will never marry you.
Ben was angry about the fact that the childhood lost friend could not marry him. So he thought about it and remembered what his friend said.
Her living insane.
If he doesn't agree, then go and ask for her hand in marriage from her parents. Ben went ahead to Ada's parents to ask for her hand in marriage. Her father was delighted that somebody wanted to marry her rebellious child. And thinking that Ben was her childhood best friend and now
I ask
respected
for
in
your
the
daughter's
community,
hand in
he
marriage.
said, "I will do whatever I can to make sure
I
that my
accept.
daughter marries you." That is a promise. In the days that followed, the house was filled with tension. Ada stood before her family as their harsh words echoed through the room.
Will marry him,
They scolded
finalize
her
the
for
merger, and
refusing the
protect
man
this
they had
family.
chosen, accusing her of rebellion and bringing shame to the family. They warned her that if she did not agree to the marriage, she would lose her inheritance. Anger burned inside her, but reality weighed heavily on her heart. She knew Jackson could not provide the life she was used to. Trapped between pride, pressure, and fear of losing everything, Ada made a painful decision. Not out of love, but out of anger and obligation, she agreed to marry Ben. Days later, the marriage ceremony began. The decorations were beautiful, the guests were joyful, and the atmosphere looked perfect to everyone watching. But Ada was not. Behind her calm appearance was a heavy sadness. She walked through the ceremony with a distant heart, and though vows were exchanged and smiles were shown for the crowd, her emotions were far from the celebration. And so, the two of them were married. When the wedding ended, friends and family celebrated Ada and Ben Washington with joy and high hopes. But behind closed doors, Ada grew distant. She avoided Ben, her warmth replaced by cold silence. For 2 long weeks, Ben endured the emotional strain, hoping patience would soften her heart. Then Jackson visited Ada with a dark suggestion: she should pretend to be loving, win Ben's trust, and ultimately betray him to claim his wealth.
Just play your part well,
At
Ada.
first, Ada rejected the idea. But the thought lingered.
I always do, darling.
Slowly, she convinced herself that no one would ever suspect her. Her behavior changed overnight. She became gentle, attentive, and dutiful, cooking for Ben, caring for him, and acting every bit the devoted wife. Ben was surprised but overjoyed,
And that, my dear, is
believing
how I
at last
finally
that her
convinced
love
them to
matched his
sign the
own.
agreement.
Days
Oh, that's
passed into
wonderful
weeks,
news, Ben.
and weeks into months,
Really?
as Ada carefully maintained the facade while Ben happily embraced what he believed was a genuine change of heart.